Are you drawn to the historic districts of West Palm Beach, but you just think you've been priced out of the market? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you about one of the historic neighborhoods that you can still buy a historic home for under $1 million and live within a 5-minute bike ride of downtown in a super quiet area with no airplanes overhead and lots of new redevelopment opportunities on the horizon. So this district is called the Northwood District, and I'm going to tell you all about it. So as I was thinking about what I wanted to tell you about next, I had this listing recently in the Northwood District of West Palm Beach, which is the historic district north of downtown. And I had so much activity and people. The price point of this house was like $1.5 million. It was a fully renovated, I'm going to show it to you at the end. It was a fully renovated, kind of mid-century modern house. And it sold for just around $1.5 million. But the people that I had come with interest were young couples starting families, mature people looking for a second home, people who had a smaller property elsewhere and wanted to be near downtown, but they felt really priced out of those neighborhoods south of downtown. And I'm going to share my map with you so I can show you. I'm going to show you on this map what I'm talking about. So I did another video called the top 5 neighborhoods in West Palm Beach, which you might want to take a look at. And I talked about my favorite 5 neighborhoods, and Northwood that I'm going to talk about today was one of them. But I focused on a few other neighborhoods south of downtown, all historic, all wonderful neighborhoods, but they're so discovered. And, you know, like El Cid, just below Okeechobee off of Flagler, this area here is just the most beautiful homes. You know, people are moving over from Palm Beach and moving to El Cid. They're larger estate type homes. They're getting fully renovated, and the price points are just, you know, you can't buy a house in there for less than $5.5, $6 million. And the same is starting to be true down in Southland Park and Prospect Park, which is down here, and south of Southern, the south end here, just beautiful properties. But if you're looking for something under $1 million, it's practically impossible now. So anyway, that's what I learned when I was having open houses and showing this property that I had listed up here in the Northwood Shores district, which I'm going to show you right now. And that is that people are looking for it. And Northwood, I think, this is what we're going to cover. It starts down here in the Northwood Village, which is a historic commercial district. I'm going to show you some videos here where there's restaurants. It's kind of a quirky little area, but there's a lot of redevelopment going on there. And then it runs through Northwood Shores, and it says Northwood Gardens here, but up through the Harbor District. So this is what we're going to cover. And as you can see, I mean, basically it goes from 59th Street all the way down to, I would say, like 23rd Street. So that's a lot of blocks and a lot of distance, probably a few miles compared to down here in these other historic districts. So there's a lot more homes. There's a lot more property. There's waterfront, and a lot of the waterfront is homes on the waterfront. So that's what prompted me to talk to you about this. So normally I would go to the niche rating, but when I put in Northwood for in the niche ratings, I got this terrible rating. And then I was like, well, I know that it is a little rough around the edges still, even though there's a lot of addressing a lot of the issues in the area. But when I looked more closely at the geographic map of this Northwood that I was looking up, I realized that it really isn't even what I'm talking about, because it's all wet. This is showing west of US 1, and this is more of an industrial, older rental homes here. Here's the hospital. This is all commercial. So this is really where I'm talking about all this area along the Intracoastal and down to here, which is Northwood Shores. So I put in Northwood Shores, and then all I get is just that little area that I'm going to also talk about, which is a very nice little area right here. But there's still so much more to Northwood. So much for the niche, using the niche as my foundation. But maybe this is why when people go to look it up, they get confused, because it's not really reflecting the community of Northwood, which has these 3 sections. And I'll just talk about it real quick again. They call this the Northwood Village District here. That's between like 23rd and 25th. and that's a commercial area with shops and restaurants. It's kind of quirky, but it's really finding its own, and I'm going to tell you about some redevelopment that's going there that's going to really solidify it and make it a really destination place in the North End. And then just to the east of that, along the Intercoastal here, this green park, I did talk about this as well. This is Curry Park, and this is about to undergo like a $35 million restoration. So that's in the works. They've got a contractor signed up, and that's going to get started. So this is the very south end of the Northwood District. And then this Northwood Shores is kind of the primo, I think. It has the most homes along the Intercoastal here, beautiful estates behind gates. You can see in these videos, these beautiful properties. And then because this has been discovered, being right across from Palm Beach on the Intercoastal, so have all these streets in here. And so the homes in here, this first block is really the primo block, and the house that I had listed was right on this 35th Street here. But that doesn't exclude any of this around here from like 25th north to 36. This is a lot of historic homes, a lot of young couples. And even though, like, say the home that I had here at $1.5 million, the people that were looking at it were really looking for something more in the $1 million range. And there's plenty of that in here. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to also talk about this whole area up to 59th Street. And this is the Manatee Lagoon is up here. I'll show you some pictures of that. This is all being reimagined. So in this video, I'm going to just go through all of this from bottom to top and show you what's going on in the Northwood District. Okay, so I'm going to start from east to west, and I'm going to start talking about Curry Park. And as you can see from Curry Park, it's all fenced off now. They have begun the renovation, and it's going to include, there's tennis courts here that are going to be redone. There is a boat ramp that has been there forever. And there's very few docks there currently, but they're going to rethink the whole marina area with a greater number of docks and spots to tie up. You'll see from these pictures, these renderings, they're going to have a tidal amphitheater and what they're calling the Curry Park Cafe. And there'll be spots for renting kayaks and canoes. So it's really going to be brought to life. And that kind of goes hand in hand with what's going on down here at Pine Street. And that is where this really large condo project is going up. It's coming out of the ground right now, called Olara. And that is going to be just south of Curry Park. So they'll have a marina here along the water as well. And then further south of that, there's a couple more condos going up, the Ritz-Carlton, and just south of that, Shorecrest. So you can see a video that I did about the top luxury condos that are being built in West Palm, and all three of those are included in that, as well as one that's up here in the Harbor District of Northwood. So if you go east to west, there's the park that's being redone. There's all this empty land here there were just like small office buildings and things that were there back in like 2008 through 2009, and there were plans to build some of this new construction then and didn't unfold. So the property is still there. As you can see in these videos, you can see that there's vacant land there. And then just to the west of that is the Northwood Village District. And that's between like Northwood Road and 25th Street. And you can see that there's shops and restaurants and historic buildings on all three of these streets. And what's happening there is at this west end of the Northwood Village, this large project is going up in addition to at 25th, it's called the Spruce, and it's going to be more affordable housing. I believe it's 6 or 7 stories apartment building, as well as other rental apartments here at the end with a grocery store and retail space. So that is really something that's been needed in the Northwood District, and I think has kept it from evolving in the same way that the historic areas have in the South. So this area, it's always been in the bucket of the historic districts. I mean, I lived in south of El Cid maybe like 25 years ago, And people used to say, well, did you think about Northwood? And at the time, it's so quiet up here. And there really hasn't been, I think, enough of shopping, restaurants, things to draw people in. And it's finally happening. So that is the Northwood Village District. And then next is, here we are, this is called Northwood Shores. And so in Northwood Shores, you have all these beautiful homes on the Intracoastal, just really large lots. Some could be, they're at least a half an acre, some even more. And it's almost like their backyards are their front yards because they look out onto the Intracoastal. And some of these homes even have a natural shoreline where there isn't a seawall. It's not like when you have a canal in some of the other towns in the area. So this is really super attractive. And these properties, I don't know, they start at like 15 million and up. And then you have this first block to the west between Poinsettia and Flagler. And that's where a lot of renovation is going on. You've got older homes, but they're on larger lots and they're older, they're larger homes. And those are getting renovated. So the price points are a little bit more here, above $1 million to $2 or $3 million in here. But then you have between Poinsettia at about 26, between Poinsettia and US 1, you have these two blocks, and Spruce is really the attractive road here. And there are a lot of really pretty older two-story historic homes along here and smaller ones on these other streets. And that's where the draw is right now. This, if you're south of 36, north of 25th, west of Poinsettia, you could find something in there for less than $1 million with some upside, because a lot of these properties need renovating, but some of them have already been done and it's really pretty. And they actually even have a neighborhood community center here, where I was driving by there the other day and there were all these families there. There's a building with a big breezeway and they were having some kind of event there and there were kids playing. And so I can really see that the young people are being drawn to this area, as are like empty nesters, because if you go from anywhere here, you're so close to downtown here. A lot of people just ride their bikes down Flagler, and it's just really convenient. You go over the bridge, you can be in Palm Beach, you can go up the lake trail. So that is the second district that I'm talking about, and that is Northwood Shores. So I'm just going to stop and take a minute and introduce myself. If you don't know already, my name is Diane Wimbrow, and I am a lifelong South Floridian and realtor here in Palm Beach County. And I get calls and texts from people all the time who are thinking about moving to South Florida, but they just don't know where to start. And I just love to get these calls because I love living in South Florida and I love to help people figure out the right place for them. So if this sounds like you, feel free to give me a call, shoot me a text, and we can set up a Zoom call. And in the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe below so that you'll know every time we have a new video. So in the meantime, we'll get back to talking about Northwood. Okay, so before I go back to my map and show you the third district of Northwood, which would be I'm calling it the Northwood Harbor District, but it really does. It goes from like 36 to 50 something. So it's a lot of blocks. And that's all east of US 1. And what's going on there is the city developers. I think there's even like a national kind of, I can't think of what to call it, like a redevelopment agency that's working with them and really reimagining this whole area, because US 1 is the boundary. It's also referred to as Broadway. And this whole area, I mean, it's almost like we've all just gotten used to it because it's just old. It's old buildings. It's a little, I don't know, transient's not really the word, but it's just, it needs attention. And it's getting attention. And so the city is paying attention and the CRA is paying attention. And so I think that the city is paying attention to this area of US 1, and developers are very interested in this eastern side, obviously, because that's the draw. And so there's a lot of partnering going on. So we just talked about, the old Northwood Village, and then we talked about Northwood Shores here. And then north of here, this is another thing, is that Rybovich is a big, they kind of used to build boats, but now they're more like they have this mega yacht facility here. And then at the same time up in Riviera Beach, there's like a super mega yacht facility up there. So when you come up Flagler, like here's Flagler, and then it turns to the west a little, and then it starts heading north again. So on Flagler's our road from all the way down south in Soso, all the way up to this Manatee Lagoon up here, which I'll tell you about. So this whole of Flagler doesn't run along the water here. And so as you make that turn, right here is a local elementary school, which is a highly rated elementary school, Northborough Elementary. And then on the right-hand side of the road, you have one of the first really new developments that got built here. It's called Flagler Landing. It's so nice. I wish they would build more like this because it's only like 3 or 4 stories. It juts out kind of into the water. It looks out over all these mega beautiful yachts here at the Rybovich Center. I mean, I think it's probably like 25 years old and it's just beautiful. And the location is excellent. So what's going on as you head further north I'm just going to stay on Flagler all the way up and just tell you about it. So at the Rybovich Center, it's called the Safe Harbor Rybovich. That's where all these just amazing, my husband and I go by there in our boat and we take people on boat tours and we go through there. It's so amazing because there's only like maybe 5 or 6 of these super mega yacht facilities around the world. And this is one of them. And then there's another one that's going in Riviera Beach because we have such a navigable waterway. You see how wide it is. The inlet is good for large ships, and we don't really have a lot of commercial boat traffic that comes in there, which is nice. So we just have all these beautiful boats. So, and in this Safe Harbor is the newest thing is this restaurant called La Marina. And it is really the best. It's so beautiful. It's all like open air and they serve dinner and you just sit there looking out on the water and these beautiful boats. And they just started serving lunch too. So that's really like a big step. It's the Caniglio family who also has Bradley's down on the waterfront downtown. And they have Cucina in Palm Beach. It was the original Bradley's that was in Palm Beach. So it's long in their family. The Mrs. Caniglio was the mayor and anyway of Palm Beach. So that's gone in there at Safe Harbor. And then just north of that are these towers that got built about 5 years ago. Icon, the 2 Icon towers. And those are luxury rentals that I think they were kind of geared for the crews that are on the boats at the Rybovich Center. But I've met a lot of people that are kind of living there in a transition. They're beautiful apartments that look out. You can have views of the ocean and the Intracoastal. And I think there's a lot of people in there that are just trying to figure out where they want to live. And so they're living there for now. And it's just beautiful. And it sits just south of 45th Street. And 45th Street I'll show you this video here. They're imagining 45th Street to be the kind of the grand entry into this district of Northwood. So that's going to be rethought. Rybovich it's owned by the Huizinga family, and it's buying up properties in here and is planning to build new residential. I think there's 100 homes planned. There's like another condo going up here called Alba. It's about to be topped off. And they've bought a couple of parcels here on the Intracoastal, and there's going to be a couple more condo towers going up in addition to 2 or 3 that already exist there, older buildings. And then kind of right at the end, right before the port, is this Manatee Lagoon, which the power plant is up here, and it releases warm water into these spots here. And the manatees come in the winter when the water's warm and the air is cold, and they have this whole center, kind of an educational center, a tourist location. A lot of people like to go there. So that's pretty cool. So that is what is going on. But what needs to happen is you've got all these streets here with older homes. Some of them have historic value, but not in the way that they do down here below 36th Street. And so there's a lot of people buying up properties, looking for ways to consolidate properties and kind of reimagine what's going on there. There's still a lot of beautiful things. I went for a walk up here last weekend and I took some videos of Osprey Park, which is just north of 45th Street. And it's this beautiful park. It has a dog park. There's a playground. You look out on the water, and when you look to the south, you can see the boats at the Rybovich Center. And when you look to the north, you can see Singer Island and toward the inlet. And the water is like crystal clear right there at this little sandy beach that's there. And there are a couple of other parks just like this along the waterfront here. So it really has a really nice footprint. And it's just that it's so densely populated with these smaller, older homes that it's going to take a little longer for people to come in and renovate, or people to come in and tear down and build new homes, and also to sort of clean up US 1 here, which has a bad reputation as Broadway in this section. So, I mean, the truth be told, that is how it is. But in general, there is a lot going on here, and I think it has a lot of potential to really just pull the whole city together along the coastal area of West Palm Beach. So it's really something worth considering. Okay, so as promised, I'm going to show you this house that's on 35th Street, south of 36th in the Flagler block, as I was saying, in Northwood Shores. And as you can see, it's only like 4 or 5 houses in from the Intracoastal. You look east, and right at the end of the street are all these beautiful homes, luxurious estates. And then you can see this street is pretty privatized with hedges along the street. And I'm walking up to the house, and it has a nice sized front yard. It's well landscaped. It was completely renovated, so it's got a new roof. It has all impact windows, which is so important here in South Florida. And then the whole interior was renovated. So it's a 1950s kind of mid-century modern home, and everything has been redone. The floors, the windows, the doors, all the hardware, the lighting, the kitchen, and the bathrooms. The bathroom, it's a 3-bedroom house with a bathroom in the hallway for 2 of the bedrooms, and then the primary bedroom has French doors that look out onto the front yard, and an en-suite bathroom. And then in the back, it's got a beautiful pool and a well-landscaped backyard. They put in a whole new hedge in the back, so they were just waiting for that to grow up, and a little pool house. So this is what you get for about $1.5 million in the Flagler block in Northwood Shores. But there are lots of other opportunities to be renovated, and also just better price points on the west side of Poinsettia. So that's Northwood Shores. So I hope you found this helpful. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts, what you think about Northwood, and my opinions on where it's headed. I'd love to hear any comments you have down in the comment section. And if you would like to call me or shoot me a text, we could set up a Zoom call or have a chat on the phone. I'd be more than happy to help you. And in the meantime, don't forget to hit the subscribe and like button below, and hit the bell so that you'll know every time that we have a new video. Thanks for watching.